changing the world sometimes seems so out of the norm, out of the ordinary, out of the box. And we all have excuses. I'm just one person. I can't. My education level is not where it needs to be. My influence level is not. Who am I to be able to do this? How can I do this? When do I have the time? All these excuses start rattling off. But what we're going to see as we study this Rebuild series through the Old Testament book of Nehemiah, we're going to see a guy, not a pastor, not a preacher, not a king, not a prophet, a regular dude with a regular job who changed the world for his generation. He allowed the brutal facts of reality to sink deep inside of his soul and to disturb him. Little did he know that that disturbance was actually a building block for what God was going to do in his life. And if you're taking notes, and I would encourage you to, if you're wondering how in the world you can have a God-birthed dream in your heart, the first step is that you allow God to disturb you. You see, a God-sized dream and a God-sized vision doesn't just happen because of a dream. We all have dreams, but most of the time we never fulfill those because it's not disturbing us. Maybe it was the pizza that you had the night before. But a God-birthed dream inside of our heart always begins with the disconnect between what is and what could be. He allowed this dream to disturb him. He wasn't a weak guy. He wasn't a guy to cry at the drop of a hat, but he allowed the brutal facts of reality to so sink inside of his soul and disturb him. Disturbance. They're discouraged. The people are listening to these negative words. And you may be listening to some lies. Question is, what lies are you believing today? What lies? Here's a lie that I believed just a few years ago. I was pastoring a church, and if I heard this once, I heard it 100 times. Preacher, you're a good person. We really like you. You're just not a very good preacher. Like right before I would go and speak, they would say this. Like the leadership of our church, and they would say something like, you know, people aren't getting fed. People are, mad, unhappy. Are you sure you're called into this? And for 3 years, when you hear something like that over and over, you start to think, maybe I'm not. Maybe that was pepperoni pizza that I ate that I thought that I was going to go into the ministry. And I'll never forget, I used to drive by Lowe's and McDonald's and other places, and I'm like, maybe I should just go apply there. Maybe I need to get out of the ministry. This was just, a year ago, 6 months ago. It was a low time in my life. I didn't want to get out of bed. I hated the ministry, and I was done. You see, the enemy, listening to these people, the wrong people, sent me into a tailspin of discouragement. I say that to you to let you know that, you may be going through some situations, and it's okay. Because when you're right ready to build the vision that God has for your life, the dream that once it was, you're going to be so close, all of the demons in hell are going to be released to attack and to discourage. So with one hand, they worked at the construction. With the other hand, they held a weapon. And they said, we're going to build with one hand, and we're going to fight the devil on the other hand. And that is exactly what you have got to do. If God is going to fulfill the vision of God in your life, you have got to fight tooth and nail. And when you can't fight anymore, you gum him to death. You're like, I'm going to beat you. Because your family is worth fighting for. The vision of God on your life is worth fighting for. The dream that God has for you, it is worth fighting for. So what are you going to do about it? Throw down your sword and say, just go ahead and take me? No. And this is my challenge, is that we rise up and we say, we're going to build this. And it's going to be tough, and people aren't going to like it, and there's going to be demons, and yeah, we're going to get discouraged, but we're going to have other dreamers because there's been a declaration, and we may be in delay, but God has a dream because of it's been birthed out of disturbance. And we're right there. Right there. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm preaching. I like this. I'm excited. They were so close. The city of Jerusalem had an all-out revival. And they fulfilled the destiny on their lives. But just imagine what would have taken place if they would have given up when they were so close. My question to you today, what is that thing that God is disturbing you about? What is that thing that you are dependent upon God? The dream that he births, you may be in a holding pattern, but God wants to declare it in you, to bring other dreamers along, understanding that there's going to be some demonic and spiritual attacks. You may experience discouragement. You got to press through to reach your destiny. So what is that? And this is today your permission to dream big dreams. For small dreams neither stir the hearts of men or of God.